Hello, beauties. I am so happy to report that the spring equinox is upon us, which is the beginning of what is a season of growing light, where every single day from spring equinox to summer solstice, we experience this increase in light in our days, which has all sorts of effects on the natural world of which we are part. So, those of us who are really tuned in to the natural world as teacher, as guide, as friend, as family will find a lot of juice and a lot of new learning and new lessons in the new season, along with new energy, new activities, new ways of being. So it's my intention with this video, which is the third in a 4-part series that began in the autumn equinox, where we're looking to one single lesson, one single key word for the season. So, my sisters who are in the Southern Hemisphere, you can stop right now. And I've linked below in the notes below the fall equinox, because those of you who are in the Southern Hemisphere are experiencing the autumn equinox. So, check that out. But if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, as I am, in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of Western North Carolina, I am really hoping to tune in with you from your heart to my heart, your mind to my mind, your home place, your earth place to my earth place. So every time we sort of connect from different points on the earth and sort of come together, that is some kind of a real magic of bringing the life from one place, connecting to a light or life in another place. And there's something really beautiful about that. So I want to encourage you, if you have not already, sit yourself by a window, take me on a walk, sit out on your stoop or your porch or your rooftop or wherever you have access to see and experience the natural world, which is always dancing with us and around us and through us. Because there's a way in which, when we sit like this, really intentionally tuning into the natural world and pay attention, messages, movements in the movement of the clouds or the trees or a butterfly or a bird song coming through can play with your experience. So invite in the natural world. I'm looking through the window where there's a beautiful mountain ridge and sky and clouds. So we're rooting in to a new season. And in the cycles of the earth, which very much mirror and are the cycles of creation or creativity, this is the new life. And it really comes in a cycle. Who's to say what's the beginning and what's the end? There really is no beginning or end. But we were coming out of winter, right? And if you were tuning in to the last video I made for you at the winter solstice, where we were really turning towards winter as a place to dream. When it's darker in the outer world, the inner vision comes really alive, and there's ways that we can nurture that. And in the winter, very much like in the moon cycle, the new moon time, we are supported in really tuning into the depths and seeing what are the new dreams that we have for the cycle ahead. What do we want to create? What do we want to call in? What do we want to embody in the new cycle? And we have a whole season to contemplate that. And if you've been tuning into the new moon meditation adventures, or you've been going to your local circle, you will have had, I think it's 3 different new moons in this time period to really get clear on what are my dream seeds for the next cycle. So hopefully you have 1 or 3 things that you really want to bring forth inside and outside. Spring offers and invites us to rise. Spring, just like when you're walking through the natural world, comes alive. We are seeing shoots of grass and little green buds and even some blossoms, depending upon where you are, like beginning to peek out. There is, with the increasing light, with the increasing sunlight, like a call to rise. And that rise can feel, if you're anything like I am, and I love the winter time and I love that quiet space and I love to be more still, this equinox, with the increase of light and all the movement, it can feel like a real shifting of gears, and we can have all sorts of relationships to that shifting of gears. I historically get a little anxious at this time of year because I'm like, it's happening. It's time to rise. It's coming to life. There's a call towards all these beautiful things that are coming in the spring, like, in the Wild Woman Project world, it's spring circle leader training and looking towards Wild Woman Fest and all of this new life that's coming up. So for you, and you have to consider what's coming in your spring, what's coming in your summer. And it's likely that in some way you are being asked to rise. And I think rising is both an act of courage, but it's also an act of surrender. When we realize that we are the natural world, so just like the dandelions, which are shooting up in the yard, we don't have to do it. We just have to be it. We just have to not fight it. That there's something in us when the spring comes and there's much light that wants to rise, that does rise, just like everything else in the natural world. And we're rising and we're lifting up and we're renewed. And there's a vulnerability in that. It's like, when a chick is first coming out of the egg, and it's all wet and, figuring it out and tiny and vulnerable. There's the same thing happens for plants. And I think for us, and throughout the season, we'll grow and we'll get stronger and we'll get older. Maybe we'll get wiser and we'll get used to the light, but it's new for us. And there's something so sweet about embracing the wonder in light. So just like the other two videos in this series, and just like the one that's coming down the pike in the summer solstice, I chose a poem from the patron saint of wild women, Mary Oliver, rest her soul, who's left us a wealth of poems that have teachings in them, and their teachings are really rooted at drawing together the human struggle and the medicine that we can find for that struggle in the natural world. So I'd love to offer a reading of this poem and then go into it piece by piece and see what we can find in the way of helpful lessons and helpful learning for our period of rising this spring. So this one is from I'm reading it from Devotions. It was originally in a collection called New and Selected Poems, Volume 2. So breathe this with me. If you're a particularly visual person, you might close your eyes and try to imagine what she's, the picture she's painting with her words. Or if you prefer to look off into the wild, into the natural world while you listen, you can do that. This one's called White Heron Rises Over Blackwater. I wonder what it is that I will accomplish today. If anything can be called that marvelous word. It won't be my kind of work, which is only putting words on a page, the pencil, haltingly calling up the light of the world, yet nothing appearing on paper half as bright as the mockingbird's verbal hilarity in the still unleafed shrub in the churchyard, or the white heron rising over the swamp, over the darkness. His yellow eyes and broad wings wearing the light of the world, in the light of the world. Ah, yes, I see him. He is exactly the poem I wanted to write. White Heron rises over Blackwater. So let's start exploring the treasure trove of this poem together by simply looking to the beginning, where she's talking about this whole thing of accomplishment, which is in some ways like one of the words that we could use to describe what happens in spring. We start the doing, and the accomplishment that she's talking about is really about creativity. She's talking from the poet's perspective of sitting down to write a poem that's trying, she talks about her pencil, which is haltingly calling up the light of the world. So, haltingly is like stop and go, where does stop and go come from? A little unsure, a little listening, a little grapple maybe. And she's saying like, there's nothing that could be as sweet, nothing I could create on the page that could be, as full as light as these other things from the living world. So I think it's useful for us, if we're looking to this poem as a teacher, to think of the poet in the poem as a creator, as ourselves. So whatever is your art, maybe you are a poet or a writer, but you might be a painter. You might be a gardener. You might be a cook, a chef. You might be a mother. You might be a homemaker. You might be a CEO. You might be a community organizer. You might be a circle facilitator. Whatever it is, whatever is your natural act of creation. And we all are constantly creating our lives. We're creating our whatevers. My neighbors yesterday were building a porch. They were creating a porch. So you might think of, what is your thing? What are you creating? Where are you pouring that creative energy? And now, like right around now. A lot of us are multidimensional, we're pouring it in a lot of places, but really identifying ourselves in this poem as creators and honoring that. There's this piece that really gets me, and I haven't figured it out. And I think that's an important piece of the medicine of poetry is it ignites something, but it's not necessarily super tangible, but rather something we can look towards or hold. So what she says is, with her pencil, she's haltingly calling up the light of the world. Haltingly calling up, like her attempt at poetry is to call up the light of the world. So taking a moment at this springtime equinox time, where the focus is the growing of light, the growing of light. And you can look at so many different religions and spiritual traditions that have whole myths and theologies around the sacredness of light. And you don't have to subscribe to those spiritual traditions or religions to look out your window and feel that awe of the sun and the awe of the sun, growing and growing and growing, and what it does to us. It's a powerful, powerful force. I mean, the sun allows us to have plants, to be able to nourish ourselves and eat and breathe. Like, it is so essential. And one could say it is very sacred. Some of the most um, awe-inspiring, mystical experiences of my life have been rooted in these moments where light is playing a major piece in the experience. An asteroid shooting across the sky, a firefly coming at the exact right moment, a candle being lit. In fact, a candle being lit is one of the way, that's the way we start a Wild Woman Project circle. And we know that it's over when the candlelight goes out. There is something so beautiful, so important to life about light. So this poem is all about light. And she's naming that there's, yet nothing appearing on paper half as bright as the mockingbird's verbal hilarity, the song of the mockingbird that she's hearing in the churchyard. And then she spends the last big chunks of poem really watching this white heron rise, wings outstretched, the white heron rising over the swamp and the darkness. Yellow eyes and broad wings, wearing the light of the world in the light of the world. She's painting the picture not only of this majestic creature, which is rising over darkness, rising over swamp. She's pointing to his architecture, his broad wings. Like, this is how the bird was made by whatever made the world. This amazing bird has this, these wings that catch flight. They are built to fly. She points to his yellow eyes, another sort of reference to light, and basically saying that he's wearing light and he's in the light of the world. I think that there's something really important there about our creations and even ourselves being like that. Like, we are made to do whatever it is we feel called to do. We're built for it. It's not something we have to muscle. It's something we have to allow. Like, how can your action of creation, whatever it is, your creativity, how can you remember when you're doing it that you're built for it, just like that white heron is built to rise up over the darkness and over the swamp? How are you built for it? How are you made for it? And in what way, when you're doing it, are you wearing light? And are you in light, in the light of the world? Same goes for the creations themselves, whether it's a garden or a beautiful meal made for loved ones, or a new gathering or a new circle that you're offering, or whatever it is that you're creating. How is the creation itself built for that? how is the creation itself wearing light and in light? It's just such an incredibly beautiful impulse to attempt to create anything in the world. And I think we forget it. We take for granted the little ways that, even cleaning our homes or reorganizing something, that little action is an action of creativity. You are changing the world around you. So, Mary Oliver's creations are offerings of light. She's trying. She's trying, and it sounds like she feels like she'll never quite do it. She'll never quite make any poem that touches this white heron that she sees rising over the darkness, rising over the swamp, yellow eyes, wearing light, in the light of the world. She says, "Ah, yes, I see him. He is exactly the poem I wanted to write." So there's this devotional quality that she evokes regarding the creative cycle that, she's reaching to call up the light of the world, which doesn't touch all of the majesty around her. But still she writes, still she shows up. And that act of creation as trying to call up the light of the world, trying to be almost like worthy, worthy of all this light, all this beauty, all this majesty around us. So I think there is some kind of an encouragement here for all of us who are attempting and part of the rising of the spring, coming out of the darkness of winter, and really aiming to, with every single creation, to call up the light of the world. And it's in us, and we're draped in it, and it's all around us, and to allow it. So I lay this at your feet, this invitation, and you have the whole season to do it. And within every season, there are phases, even within the season. I offer this invitation to watch, to allow the rising to happen in you and around you. And you might notice what the rising feels like right at the beginning, right at equinox time. You might check in the belly of spring and towards the end of spring, and watch and contemplate the rising that's happening in this. It's a kind of a kind of reaching that we're all instinctively doing toward the light. So I hope you have a luminous spring season. And I hope you like I intend to let spring work on me. And to remember that it's not something I have to do. It's something I am built for. Just like it's something you are, it's something you are built for. So, whatever has been your dream seeds, I am wishing you all the courage, all the calling up the light of the world, and all that rising over the darkness, over the swamp, into the light of the world. So, with that, I would love to tell you some things that are rising on the Wild Woman Project horizon. One of the things that are rising is the look toward our annual Wild Woman Fest, which happens in August. This year, it's August 14th through the 17th. And it's 3 nights and 4 days of unabashed magic. We go into deeper practices through yoga, through meditation. We do things like forest bathing, um, deep ritual. And we also expand, we lift up. There's a lot of joy, there's a lot of play, there's a lot of dance parties, there's a lot of mystical, sort of expansive insights that come in. There's a lot of howling at the moon, there's a lot of bonfires, there's a lot of play. And this will be our ninth Wild Woman Fest, which is a jaw dropping fact to me. And we invite women from all over the world. It happens right here in the Blue Ridge Mountains, just 20 minutes from the Asheville Regional Airport. So you can come in from wherever. And we are in a beautiful location that is revealed only to ticket holders, but it has hiking trails and it has places to swim and it has just lots and lots of beauty. And it's surrounded by national forests. It's on 900 acres. It's very secluded. And it's in really good shape, in case you're curious, because we did have a hurricane this past fall, but this is one of the areas that went, virtually untouched. So it's such a blessing that our sacred space is just in great shape. But very soon on April 4th, it's Fest Friday. That's the day that tickets go on sale. So I am encouraging you to, set the alarms on your phones, et cetera. And you want to get in there right when the tickets go on sale. The last few years, the tickets have gone in minutes. So I'm going to put a link to the festival website, wildwomanfest.com. Right underneath this video, get on the list for that so you can get the direct registration link. And you can also get more information about the festival. But a lot of it's just on the website. So if you want to come for the magic, we'd love to have you. I can't wait to see who's coming. Every year, I should say, we have like almost a 50% mix of people who have been and women who have not been. What's also coming this spring is our Circle Leader training program. It's all online. It's 7 weeks. It starts on May 5th. And this is really built for, this program is the whole reason the Wild Woman Project exists. Everything else is extra. This is a 7-week program meant to really prepare you to facilitate really skillfully a circle in your community. So registration for that opens on Monday, April 14th. And the registration period will go for 21 days or until all the spots are taken. Last time, it was a shorter period than that because all the spots got taken. So you want to act on that early if you want to be a part of it. And we'd love to have you. We invite in, we truly have women from all over the world. It is a very rich experience, which is part personal development, personal growth, and really part skill building and putting things in your toolbox for facilitation. So this program, it started even before the Wild Woman Project started. So in 2011. So we'd love to have you if you want to come. I'll put a link again below this video. And, there are circles happening all over the world. You can look on our website, thewildwomanproject.com, for a circle near you. All of our circle leaders are free agents. So their contact information, you want to reach directly out to them. They're running their own circles. And if you don't have a circle near you yet, or you can't make your circle, I offer on or near the new moon, every single new moon, the new moon meditation adventure, which you tune into online from anywhere. And it's just 1 hour, but it's really potent. We do meditation, we do intention setting and ritual, and it's a really gorgeous way to start the cycle feeling really aligned. So the next one is happening on March 28th, and I'd love to have you. Thank you again for tuning in to this video and welcoming in our season of growing light, our season of rising with me. Thank you for listening. I want to close with a rereading of the end of this poem. Or the white heron rising over the swamp and the darkness, his yellow eyes and broad wings wearing the light of the world, in the light of the world. Ah, yes, I see him. He is exactly the poem I wanted to write.